The hum of announcements and the smell of fresh coffee filled the bustling Lagos airport. Families hugged tightly, business travelers tapped on laptops, and lovers whispered goodbyes. But amidst the noise and routine, something was breaking, quietly, painfully, just near Gate 7. I stood there, frozen. Not from the cold air conditioning, but from the words I had just heard. "I can't do this anymore, Adanna, my fiancé," Somto said, his voice clipped like he had practiced the line 1,000 times. "Do what?" I asked, confused, my boarding pass still clenched in my hand. Us. I thought I could force myself to love you the way you deserve, but I can't. I'm sorry. The word splintered inside me. My lips parted to ask more, to plead, to scream, but nothing came. I looked around. No one noticed. The world carried on as if the most important moment of my life hadn't just shattered. We were supposed to be flying to Cape Town for our wedding introduction, where my family would meet his, a tradition as sacred as marriage itself. My dress was in my carry-on. His engagement ring still sparkled on my finger. And now? Now he was walking away like I was nothing more than an accidental conversation. I collapsed into the waiting seat, stunned. My heart was loud in my ears, but my voice silent. The airport noise faded. I was alone in a crowd of strangers. Except for one man. He was sitting 2 seats away, well-dressed, with kind eyes and a slight limp that suggested he'd seen hard days. He had been watching the scene unfold quietly, respectfully. I only noticed him when he leaned over gently and said that looked intense. "Are you okay?" I wanted to lie. Say I was fine. But something in his voice, measured, warm, broke down the wall I was building around myself. My fiancé just broke up with me. Here. Now. At the airport. I managed to whisper. He winced, visibly uncomfortable, but not because he wanted to leave. No, he moved a little closer, hands folded in his lap. "Why?" he asked softly. I looked at him. A stranger. But perhaps that's what made it easier. He said he couldn't love me the way I deserved to be loved. That he tried, but I shook my head, eyes stinging. We've been together 3 years. We planned everything. We prayed. We saved. My entire family is expecting us. And now he says this, like I'm a mistake he's fixing at the last second. The stranger exhaled, long and thoughtful. Then he did something unexpected. He told me his name. "I'm Obinna," he said. "And believe it or not, I know exactly how you feel." I looked at him, unsure. "You do?" He nodded slowly. 3 years ago, I sat in this same airport. My fiancé never showed up. I waited 6 hours. Eventually, I called her sister. That's when I learned she'd flown out with another man, to Dubai. I gasped. She left me with nothing but a cancelled honeymoon ticket and unanswered questions. Silence hung between us. There was something oddly comforting about his confession. Pain, when shared, feels a little less sharp. "What did you do?" I asked. "I went to Cape Town anyway." I blinked. "Alone?" "Yes," he said. "I needed to reclaim something for myself. The pain was real, but I refused to let it define me." His words stirred something in me. Reclaim something for myself. You don't have to be her, he continued. But you don't have to fall apart, either. Maybe this is a beginning, not an end. I let that sink in. Could I still board the flight? Go to Cape Town and face my family? Would they understand? Then came a message on my phone. "Mama, flight okay. We are waiting here at the guest house. Everyone's excited. Love you." I stared at the screen. How could I tell her? How could I ruin their joy? Obinna must have noticed my hesitation. You can tell them the truth, he said, or you can wait until you're stronger. Either way, you're not to blame. Something about the way he spoke gave me a flicker of courage. Maybe I didn't have to crumble right here in the airport. Maybe I could cry later, in private, and figure it out one step at a time. As my boarding gate was announced, Obinna stood. Are you going? He asked. I hesitated. I think I am. He smiled. Then walk like you chose this. Not like it was forced on you. I stood shakily. I didn't feel powerful or confident, but I was on my feet, and that was a start. As I turned to go, I glanced back at him. Thank you, I whispered. He nodded once. Godspeed, Adanna. Cape Town greeted me with open skies and distant mountains, but I felt hollow inside. My family was waiting at the rented guest house, faces glowing with anticipation. I smiled through it all, through Mama's hug, through my cousin's jokes, through the elders' prayers. But inside, I was breaking. That night, as I lay on the bed staring at the ceiling, I finally told Mama. Her reaction surprised me. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She sat beside me and said, better a broken engagement than a broken marriage. I looked at her, tears finally spilling. But what will people say? She held my hand. Let them talk. Let them eat their words. But you? You must live. And live well. Her strength flowed into me. I spent the next few days exploring the city, reclaiming joy in little things, sea breeze, sunrise, street music. I even ran into Obinna again, completely by chance, at a book cafe. We talked for hours, about pain, about choices, about faith. Sometimes, he said, a heartbreak is the universe's way of redirecting you. And for once, I believed that. A year later, I stood at a conference stage in Nairobi, sharing my story with young women on resilience and identity, and walking away from shame. I told them about the airport, the breakup, and the stranger who helped me stand. Afterward, a girl approached me, teary-eyed. I thought I was broken. But your story gave me hope. I hugged her tightly. Obinna was in the audience too. We weren't lovers, we didn't become a couple. But we became friends who shared a strange moment at a terminal gate, forever changed by a conversation that cost nothing, but saved everything. And that was enough. Sometimes, pain is loud. Public. Shameful. But healing? Healing is quiet. It creeps in like sunrise, gradual, warm, unstoppable. My fiancé broke up with me at the airport. That was the end of one story. But it became the beginning of another, where I learned that rejection isn't always punishment. Sometimes, it's protection. And the man beside me? He didn't rescue me. He reminded me I could rescue myself. So if you're sitting in your own airport moment, heart shattered and dreams undone, just remember. You don't have to beg to be loved. You don't have to shrink to be seen. Sometimes, the worst day of your life is the day you start living for real. I returned from Cape Town not with a wedding album, but with a clearer mind and steadier heart. Somto never reached out. Not once. His silence, though painful, became my closure. I understood, finally, that love built on hesitation is a fragile thing, one that collapses under the weight of real commitment. He had simply lacked the courage to face me earlier, and I had been too hopeful to notice the signs. But life has a way of continuing, even when it feels like yours has paused. Back home in Abuja, I threw myself into work. As a communications officer at a non-profit for girls' education, I found renewed purpose in helping young women rise. I began speaking at small seminars and conferences, sharing my story, not to gain sympathy, but to remind others they weren't alone. One evening, after a youth event, the girl named Chioma approached me with trembling hands. "Ma, I almost married a man who made me feel like a burden," she said, voice shaking. "Your words helped me walk away." I hugged her deeply, because I knew that kind of bravery. Around that time, I also reconnected with Obinna. We'd kept in touch occasionally, our bond built on shared vulnerability. One afternoon, he invited me to a lecture on mental health and resilience. I sat beside him again, not at an airport, but in a room full of people trying to grow past their pain. We never defined our connection. There was no romance, just mutual respect and quiet understanding. Sometimes that's all we need, someone who sees us without needing to fix us. The healing wasn't instant. Some nights, I still cried. Some mornings, I doubted my worth. But gradually, the cracks became places where light entered. One day, I looked in the mirror and smiled, not because I had everything figured out, but because I had survived what tried to break me. Exactly 2 years after that airport heartbreak, I found myself walking through the same terminal, alone again, but for a very different reason. This time, I wasn't running from pain. I was flying to Kigali to speak at an international summit for women leaders in Africa. My name was on the keynote list. I had written a book. I was whole. As I passed Gate 7, the memories flickered briefly, the breakup, the shock, the stranger beside me. But instead of sorrow, I felt something else, gratitude. Life had taken a sharp turn that day. And yet, that twist had led me to find a voice I didn't know I had, a strength I never imagined I'd need. It introduced me to people I wouldn't have otherwise met, like Obinna, whose quiet wisdom lingered in every brave choice I made after. He was now running a youth mentorship program in Enugu, helping boys learn emotional resilience, something he had once lacked himself. We spoke occasionally. No romance ever bloomed, but what we had was something richer, an unspoken alliance formed by survival. Sometimes we don't need the person who hurt us to apologize. We just need to become someone who no longer needs their apology. I had become that person. So to anyone who's ever been left, discarded, or made to feel unworthy, I offer this. You are not your heartbreak. You are not someone's fear of commitment. You are not unfinished or unlovable. You are becoming. And sometimes, that transformation begins right